Da tror jeg vi starter dagens webinar, der the great star guest Joachim Hevlemann fra NIBIO. For anledningen var at vi gikk en runde her på huset på Steinkjer på InnoCamp og var innom NIBIO og hilste på, og så sa Joachim at han hadde litt nyheter å komme med, og da slo jeg til med en gang. Det er alltid spennende å få litt nyheter ut i WoodWorks-klusteret og andre som hører på. Men før du slipper til, Joachim, så kunne jeg hatt veldig lyst til å gi ordet over til Guro, som vår nye kommunikasjonssjef til og med. Du har fått sjefstitel, det har ikke jeg. Det misunner jeg deg jo. Som du kunne sagt ord om deg selv og hilst på folket.
Veldig gjerne, Rune. Jeg heter da Guro Anger-Gimse, og begynte 1. januar som ny kommunikasjonssjef i WoodWorks og i skognæringen og kyst. Så jeg fordelt 50-50 på begge de to. Så går jo de jobbene litt over i hverandre, så det er mye synergier her som er bra. Jeg har politisk bakgrunn, jeg har vært rikspolitiker i 4 år, også politiker i fylkeskommunen og også erfaring fra kommune. Og jeg håper at jeg kan bidra både til å påvirke politisk med viktige saker for dere, og sørge for at næringen fra skog til ferdig produkt, skulle jeg si, blir mer synlig. Så det blir veldig spennende å høre hva Joachim har av nyheter her i dag, så det gleder jeg meg til å være med på. Så jeg er litt sånn på opplæring, for å si det sånn, så jeg må bli kjent med alle som har en aksje inn i skog- og trebransjen.
Kjempefint. Da skal vi starte dagens tema, og Joachim mener vi har ganske god tid, for det er det temaet vi har, som da er droner og dronebruk. Og litt hva NIBIO stuller med der. De har noen nyheter å komme med, investert litt. Og så har også Joachim fått seg en liten sånn fagkoordinatorrolle i NIBIO, og det kan også være greit for oss andre å vite om, så han sier litt om det også. Og vi er ikke flere enn at her kan vi godt rekke opp handa og stille spørsmål og kommentere underveis, ikke sant, Joachim, hvis det er greit for deg?
Det går helt greit. Kanskje jeg svarer i engelsk, men ja.
Ja. Og Joachim vil gjerne få lov å presentere på engelsk, men spørsmål kan utmerket stilles på norsk, for som dere hører så snakker han jo ganske godt norsk. Men han vil finslipe norsken sin litt mer før han holder foredrag på norsk. Så vær så god, Joachim, scenen er din.
Ja, tusen takk. Yeah, thanks for the meeting. Maybe I switch to English right away. Yeah, the reason for this meeting today is that NIBIO has invested quite a lot, and now not only in equipment but also in new positions here in the region, and that's why I would like to take the chance and present a little bit of what kind of equipment we have been buying now, and what I'm actually quite also emotional about, because I think it's just brilliant what we have bought, and about these new positions that will hopefully benefit, or brings a lot of benefit for NIBIO and all the partners in the region. But to start, I would say we start with the equipment that we have bought, and I did this presentation already a couple of times, so it might not be super new for everyone, but it's nonetheless very important to talk about. So me personally, I'm involved in using drones, and it has been the development that drones in Skogforsk and in research has been the most used recording method in the last couple of years, and now there has been a new step towards making another system more available for the research market. But to set the stage a little bit, so those are drones, and I guess this picture I actually have been stealing from BioDrone. So these are drones that are available both in NIBIO but also for BioDrone. So you see the quadcopters, the fixed wing drones. So there are very, very different kind of drones that are available on the market. And so far, usually when we were talking about sensors, we were using mainly photo-optical sensors, so normal cameras to evaluate our research. So that was the basic stuff, and this is just a little background out of my research where I use drones, and here like a DJI 4 Pro together with a pre-set up flight plan to operate over Hoogstromrade, and where we were flying within certain overlap, and then we computed high resoluting orthomosaics out of these single pictures that we got, and sometimes also computed 3D point clouds out of these pictures. So that was what we did so far. But now, and that is why we're meeting today, I want to talk about this little drone. So this is the Matrice 300 RTK with an L1 sensor that NIBIO recently purchased. And why am I so excited about this drone? I believe, and all my colleagues that have been working so far with this drone, we all believe that this will replace all recording methods that we have been using before, because the data that this drone generates is so powerful. So what does this drone do differently? So first of all, the sensor is not a camera sensor anymore, it's a laser sensor. So we don't take pictures, we take actually directly the 3D information from the object that we are flying. And this itself is nothing new, but it's actually finally have become available for us because it got way cheaper than it has been before. So 5 years ago, I was in South Africa looking at one. The list price back then was 3 million kroners. Now we paid, I guess, roughly around 400,000. So it became way cheaper. I still don't want to crash this drone though, but it actually finally has been becoming available for us. And why is this so important? So I brought some images from a test flight that we did with the drone right after we got it. And this is a area close to Oslo that we have been flying. And we were flying this area in just about 20 minutes. And what we generated is this high resoluting 3D model of the forest. And why is that important? Well, first of all, it's a 3D model, so we can do 3D measurements in it, but also because we get the color information, we also can have, just like with the pictures, information on the tree species and so on. First, I also would like to, because I will come back to that later, let me bring up the laser scanner. To understand really how powerful this data is, I would like you to pay attention on how dense this area in general is stocked, and so how many trees are on this area, and also especially here on this area, because this will become important in a few minutes. So what we can do with this data, of course, we can cut out small segments and look at these segments a little bit more in detail. We can identify all the tree species that are growing here. So you have some hardwood species here. You have the spruce clearly identifiable. You can directly make measurements of height and so on here in this scan. But why are we so excited about this technology as a researcher? It is because this sensor, or this laser sensor, detects 3 hits. So it sends out a laser array that is sent out, and it hits an object, and then it reflects information, and this is taken up by the sensor again, and this is how you get these point clouds. But the sensor does not only register the first hit of the laser, but also the second and the third hit. And if we colorize this picture a little bit better, then you see what I mean. So if the laser hits on the surface here, it returns information. It might penetrate deeper, hits the second time on the stem, returns information, and the third time it might hit a point on the forest ground, and it returns information. And this is what we get back, is a scan of the entire forest, where we also have very high resolution information on the forest ground. So what we can actually do, what we cannot do with pictures, is we can actually see through the forest, or we can see through the canopy and record information on the forest ground where our machines, for example, will be driving later, or we can record information on the stem, so we can get the diameter distribution before we harvest the forest. So there are now endless opportunities of how we can use this data. So that is our job at the moment, is to really wrap around our heads how we're going to use this this data for our benefit in the future. So here you can see if we just let this turn, this is all the information that we just get from a 20-minute flight in an area. So this is unbelievably good data sets that we can use in so many different ways. And one way we are now looking into, and that's why I ask you to pay attention on how densely the forest was, is because this is the same area, but we removed all all the vegetation. So what we did is we removed all the vegetation and we computed a very high resolution 3D model of the forest ground. And you see that it is giving us a lot of information. What we also removed, for example, were lying trees. So we can also isolate and measure every single lying tree here in this forest while the forest is still standing. So we don't have to harvest all the trees to actually get a proper look on how the forest floor or the forest soil is or the status of this areas. And to show you how good the information is that we get, I zoomed in a little bit here, and what you can see here, for example, this little circle and this little circle, those are archaeological interesting sites. So these are coal pits that have been used in the medieval ages to produce coal. And this is actually a medieval road that is, of course, not being used anymore today, but is still visible in the scans. And that is completely covered by trees. So we get incredibly good information on the forest soil that we can use now to determine where, for example, our forest machines can drive, but we can also use this information to map and to look for archaeological interesting sites, for example, or just make a true digital terrain model of the terrain that is way more accurate than, for example, spaceborne laser data or airborne laser data. So what can we use this information also for? For example, we can also now, for my work, I was looking into Skördeskada from big machines. So what we can show here is we can have a scan before the machine drives, and we can have a scan after the machine drives. And you see here clearly the indentations in the area, the Skördeskada. So now we can actually measure the exact indentations or the exact impact on the forest soil when we're driving for big machines, for example. So this is information we struggled to evaluate before because we never knew what is zero in a landscape. So what do we compare our damages to? Now we can just get back and look how was the area looking exactly before we were driving there. So that just as a little example. And this in future, here's a little bit better representation. So this in future we can use to also understand a little bit better the impacts on the harvesting operations that we have, not only with the machines, but also for ecological transformations, for erosion and all these things that will happen after we harvested in an area. Yeah, we can of course use also this data now much easier to feed it in our AI and deep learning approaches to identify or to evaluate these areas automatically. So that is also something we are working on right now, is not redo, but complement our studies what we had so far and feed them with a little bit better data and see in future how we can learn out of that and how we can increase or speed up the evaluation process of our research in the future. So that is it for that topic. And I'm very, very happy that BioDrone is here in the meeting today, because this paints a very nice picture, because we have actually 2 of these drones now here in the region. So we have 1 drone with a sensor here at the office in Steinkjer, and 1 of the drone with BioDrone. So everything that we are looking into and everything that we are researching with this drone actually can then also in future be offered by BioDrone, for example, as a service. So as soon as we find a very good way to use this drone, BioDrone usually is a partner of that anyway, and is then enabled to provide that as a service, because we as researchers, we can only do research. We cannot go out and fly every single forest. So that is absolutely brilliant, and we have a lot of good ideas already. But I guess the imagination is the only boundary here. So I'm always happy and I'm always open to discuss this, because we don't really understand fully yet how we can use this incredible mine of data. And if anybody has any ideas or has any suggestions how we can use this drone properly in the future, there are my contact information. Please just contact me. We will find definitely a way to use it. And there's a lot of interesting projects coming up right now. And I will be really happy to talk about that in a year again, because then we understand way better what we can do with the data, and also talk a little bit about the findings that we had in these projects that we are applying for now. Okay, so I would say we stop here and see if we have some questions.
Ja, det har ikke kommet opp noe, men jeg har veldig lyst til å bare føye til at vi har jo laget en liten samtalegruppe, for å kalle det, på droneområdet. For det åpner jo helt fantastiske muligheter som du viser her, og som også BioDrone har vist litt tidligere, eller vært med på å vise. Så her det, som du sier, litt fantasi som må til, og vi har jo flere tilhørere her som kan ha noen tanker, så enten gjerne ta det fram nå, eller ta det opp direkte med Joachim senere, og så får vi se hva vi kan bruke til. Jeg ser Trond har rukket opp handa. Skal vi ta den først, og så kunne jeg hatt lyst til å utfordre Attila til å si noen ord fra BioDrone nå, som de har nevnt, så har vi tid til det, tror jeg. Men vær så god, Trond Rian.
Ja, Trond Rian, statsforvalteren. Kan den her drona beregne vindfall etter en storm? Det kan jo være et aktuelt tema, og en annen ting, hvor stor kapasiteten i forhold til batteri, hvor stort areal kan man dekke på en kjøring i sånne tilfeller?
Yeah, of course, this is a very valid area where you can use a drone. You can at least the top layers of the wind flow, you can calculate the volume without any problems. The capacity of the battery at the moment is 40 minutes. So we tried it. We can stretch of flying around 30 hectares with one run, but we also have several battery packs, so we are able to fly up to 2 hours with multiple batteries, and that is not a problem. So at the moment we always we never flew anything more than 40 hectares a day, but that is only a limit of how many batteries you bring out in the field, and go from there.
Var det greit, Trond? Ellers så, hvis det greit, så tar du ned handa, ellers så bare bryt inn. Da hører vi med Attila, ja. Du har rukket opp handa og høflig. Vær så god.
Hei, hei. Tusen takk, Joakim, for at du nevner oss, og veldig interessant det du presenterer. Jeg kan jo bekrefte det som Joakim sier, at vi ser jo veldig følger nøye med på hva som skjer i forskningen, og prøver da i samarbeid med forskerne å finne ut hvordan kan det her utnyttes av næringen etterpå, etter at du har fått et forskningsverifisert resultat. Så der vil vi nok holde på hele tiden med så lenge at vi får nye sensorer, ny teknologi, nye metoder, nye algoritmer som kan gjøre nyttige ting for næringen. Så det arbeidet blir vi alle ferdig med, tror jeg. Når det sagt, så du Trond var inne på det her med vindfall, og det kan også gjøres med LIDAR. Altså du kan kartlegge store områder med LIDAR, og heller ikke avhengig av lys, på samme måte som det med vanlig fotogrammetri og RGB, og det en annen stor fordel som vi ser, at nå kan du faktisk fly på svartasnatta uten at det har noe å si på bildekvaliteten. Du vil ikke få farget punktsky, men du får fremdeles veldig gode laserdata, og får en veldig god terrengmodell for de. Så det jo enda en veldig god kapasitet. Og som Joakim sier, så har du jo 40 minutter batteritid, cirka litt avhengig av vindforhold, på et batterisett. Og sånn som vi rigget, så har vi jo både aggregat og invertere og dungvis med batteri, så vi kan holde gående døgnet rundt. Vi går på snus og kaffe, så batteriene tatt hånd om. Og så tenkte jeg kanskje hvis jeg får lov til å vise et eksempel på vindfall.
Så sier du hva LIDAR er forkortelse for?
Det den laseren som Joakim har vist oss. LIDAR betyr Light Detection and Ranging. Så det noen som kaller Light Radar også, det litt, men LIDAR altså laser. Enkelt.
Yeah, it's in comparison, it's sonar, it's sound detection and ranging. So yeah, that's where it's come from.
Yeah. I have a bad habit switching to English. We talk too much, Joakim, so I need to concentrate. Jeg kan vise dere et eksempel på en e-post som er sendt til Allskog, for de har jo en del vindfall i sine områder. Her et eksempelfoto. Bildene er ikke vi som har tatt, bare sagt. Det tatt av en skogsarbeider, som da har sendt bildene til oss, og så har vi stitchet dem, og så har vi kjørt en analyse av de bildene. Og her ser du at ser du ganske tydelig i bildet at det er vindfall enkelte plasser. Og når vi da kjører en analyse med vår AI, så får vi ut segmentert i arealene hvor du har vindfall. Sånn at da kan du, hvis at vi da har bestandsavgrensninger i tillegg, så kjører du den analysen, så ser du at ok, her er det 249 dekar. Det er så mange prosent av det totale bestandet. Og da har man enkelt grunnlag for å bestemme, eller for å beregne blant annet forsikring. Da. Så enda et eksempel på hvordan det ser ut. Så det kan gjøres både med RGB og kan gjøres med LIDAR, altså laser. Da.
Bra, takk skal du ha. Husk å ta ned handa når du er ferdig, og det er vel i denne omgang. Og det du der nevner, det kan jo også bare være verdt å notere seg, at det går an å sende ting inn til dere. Nå er vi på det litt kommersielle her, beklager det Joakim, men det er også viktig å oppleve hvorfor forsker man jo det for å få noe kommersielt ut av det. Så det går an å sende inn data, bilder og andre data til dere og så få dem behandlet.
Det stemmer. I dag kan det gjøres ved at du bare sender oss en e-post, og så har vi ferdig skysystem gjort klart for det. Vi jobber også nå med en portal der du enkelt oppretter en konto og starter og laster opp. Du får da laget kartet, så kan du kjøre analyse. Det lager vi i samarbeid med NIBIO med tanke på hva er det vi har bruk for i skogen. Så det er jo på en måte forskningsbacka.
Og AI, bare så det er sagt, så står det for kunstig intelligens og artificial intelligence.
Stemmer.
Ja, Joakim, da går du videre på neste tema.
Yeah, gladly. Maybe just one more thing. So we are very happy that people are sending in stuff to Biodrone, because that's also where we get our ideas from time to time. So it is important for us also to get some feedback from bring up the other presentation from the partners and also from the industries, so that we know that we are actually looking into the right stuff and looking into the right algorithms that Attila can use later to these services. So we are really happy to get also this information back. But now we would like, or I would like, to talk a little bit more about what is happening with NIBIO in the region, and bring up this presentation. Yes, because like we already talked or mentioned a little bit earlier, is that NIBIO has invested in a new researcher position that I started working on the 1st of January. And with this researcher position comes also a new responsibility, and this is the FAR coordinator. But it's not only me, so we have now set up 3 different FAR coordinators that are responsible for Trøndelag and Midt-Norge here in Steinkjer, and one is myself on the forestry side. Then we have Adam O'Toole on the milieu, and Jevina on the WoodWorks, so the agricultural side. And reason for this FAR coordinator position is simply that NIBIO Steinkjer is growing and growing, and we have more and more researchers. And so we also need to advance a little bit when it comes to our management and to our communication. So NIBIO at the moment has 15 different locations all over Norway, and for forestry, the 3 main areas are Ås, Bergen, and Steinkjer, with Steinkjer becoming more and more important. And since now, is it 3 years? Almost 3 years, we are sitting here in the InnoCamp. And we are very happy about that. And also pretty much that is the time that I'm now here in Norway. And here at InnoCamp, we have in the division of Skog og Utmark, we have 3 main competences. And one is in the landskogtaksering, where we work a little bit on AI and deep machine learning. We have the skogproduksjon og teknologi, where we're working on big forestry machines, forest operations, and forest machine data. And we have the skoggenetikk or biomangfold, where we're looking currently a little bit into breeding programs and growing programs for the forest genetics. So these are the 8 researchers we have here in Steinkjer. And what NIBIO wants to do with this coordinator is strengthen the engagement in the region. And that is a very important task, because we are now here in the region, and there is very many good reasons to be here, and we have come to stay, I would say. And that's first of all because we have so many important partners, and so many different important partners, of course in the forestry, but also in all these other different sectors, and everybody that is involved in this bioeconomy region. And the reason why I also wanted to talk to everybody in the WoodWorks cluster today is simply because we have the WoodWorks cluster. It is a brilliant organization also for us, because sure, we have all the connection with all the partners already through our different projects, but then also on top of that we have the WoodWorks cluster, in which we also are involved in all pretty much simply all our partners that we are working with together anyway are also in this cluster. So this is a brilliant way to meet. It was very helpful for me when I started here to meet everybody and to understand the structure and everything. And it's a very good breeding ground also for project ideas. So a lot of things we are doing now also with biodrone, and we are thinking about in the future, has started here in the WoodWorks cluster and will also stay in the WoodWorks cluster, and everybody will be part of that. So about besides that, also partners in the WoodWorks cluster and also partners we're working together here are the funding sources and the partners that we actually have in the region. And we want to engage a little bit more into contact, in direct contact and in direct dialogue, so that we can enhance also the communication with the funding sources, so that we can bring in projects that are actually even more relevant to the region. And we have everyone under one roof. So not absolutely everyone yet, but I mean, InnoCamp is a brilliant place to be. We have so many different actors here, and we are really happy to be here. And we now, or that is my personal hope, that this pandemic corona thing will be soon over, so we can also engage in the personal contact again, because we had that before corona, and we really need to step up again after corona, meeting, talking, having lunch together, because that is where most of the good ideas that we have for the projects are actually coming from. So I'm really looking forward to that. What is the FAR coordinator actually supposed to do? So at the moment, we have the regional partners here in the region, and we have the big projects. And the projects are usually organized by our headquarters in Ås, where also the majority of the forestry section is situated. But now with the Steinkjer office, we also have a lot of researchers here in the region. So namely 8 researchers, but we're still lacking a little bit in communication between the actual partners and the researchers in the region. So how the communication at the moment mostly is that the partners communicate with NIBIO in Ås, and then the work packages come to us and we deliver it back to Ås, and then it goes back to the partners. And this works very well, but of course it would be much better if we would communicate the findings and everything also directly to the partners, because it doesn't help anything if we are sitting in the same region if we are not talking together. And this is what this FAR coordinator also will have as a major responsibility to change that in the future. Besides that, it is also envisioned that the FAR coordinator will represent now in future NIBIO's interests, but also that I will communicate the competences that we actually have here in Steinkjer. So that in future, when we are taking part of meetings and brainstormings and so on, we also have some not only responsibilities but also some abilities to really start already some project ideas and delegate it to the right researchers we have in the institution. So the FAR coordinator will function a bit like a information gateway also. So I can serve, if you want me to, I can serve as the main contact person. If you have any questions, if you need some contacts within NIBIO, some expertise, like you saw, we are distributed over 15 different research institutions over the whole country. It's hard to know everybody. So if I can help find the right person for the right job, I will be really, really glad to do that. One thing that is a huge wish from our partners in the region is also that we are communicating the ongoing research projects that are actually happening in the region. Usually the communication is done through the full project, but I can also understand that it might be a little bit hard to read the full project report to actually find the small part that has been done in the region or that is important for the region. So we also want to in future provide this information about the research that we're actually doing here, and also the findings that we have here in the region. And that as a second communication channel besides what we have from Ås directly for our partners. So that is the idea at the moment. And the good thing about this is also that it's not only a responsibility, but it is about 40 to 50% of my position. So I will be working on that half time, and I will spend a lot of hours and a lot of effort in this position to make this work in future. However, this is something we try for the first time, and this is also something that is still under the phase of conceptualization. So I would really be happy if I can get some information also from you, everybody that sits here within the WoodWorks cluster, what you would like this position to be and what you would like this position to become, because at the moment we are still in the phase where we can change things, where we can make this position or make this responsibility fit to our needs in order that NIBIO can actually communicate and work even better together in the region, because that's why we're here for, and that's what we really want to do in the future. That is about the fagkoordinator. Hopefully, I'm working hard on it. Soon this will all be in Norwegian. For now, we need to be okay with me talking English, men ja. Snart. Okay, now thanks. That is everything from my side. But I'm really looking forward to hear what you think. If you have any ideas, or if you have any wishes, and I'm happy for every feedback.
Tusen takk, det var veldig nyttig, og det er jo en luksus å ha NIBIO midt iblant oss, og de mulighetene det gir, og at dere har et ønske om å operere regionalt også, for dere er jo en nasjonal organisasjon, men såpass tydelig ønske om å være en del av den regionen dere er i, og så spille på resten av NIBIO i tillegg, så er det en kjempemulighet som åpner seg der. Og det bør vi ta. Håper det er noen som har noe direkte kommentarer, innspill allerede nå, og ellers så har dere nå fått hilse på Joachim og har hans kontaktopplysninger, så er det jo bare å ta kontakt senere. Og vi i WoodWorks vil også veldig gjerne være involvert, så vi kan bidra der vi har noe å bidra med. Men vær så god, hiv dere frem på. Ellers så var det egentlig dagens tekst vi har fått opplest nå. Nei. Ingen som hiver seg fram. Men det jeg tror var veldig nyttig, Joachim, for begge parter at du fikk presentert deg og fikk noen kontaktpunkter, noen som har kontaktpunkt til deg. Det blir mer riktig å si her. Så håper jeg det kommer noe ut av det, og så oppfordrer vi alle til å benytte seg av at vi har så god kompetanse i NIBIO her i regionen. Med det tror jeg bare vi sier takk for i dag, og vel hjem til alle sammen.
Tusen takk.
Ha det bra.
Ha det, takk. Ha det bra.